Hi everybody. Ha!
Get it together.
Welcome to Getting Back to Me, Both Sides of the Story.
I can be Kristen Wiig.
You're doing a good job of it. I just couldn't remember what my next line was. We're on chapter 20
of the book.
Right. And this is episode 25 of the video blog.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Crazy. Wow. 25 weeks of this.
Right.
Yeah.
So, last week we talked about
Gerhard.
Yeah, your experience with your mentor, which went really, really well.
Yeah.
Right. He was amazing.
Despite any of my fears.
You even put a picture of him on Facebook. Ha ha, Gerhard. Haven't commented yet.
The next chapter, I pick up where I'm have just left Gary's house, and I'm kind of in a very reflexive mood. And
reflective, I think, is what you meant to say.
Isn't that what I meant to say?
You said reflexive.
Reflexive.
But I suppose if you're stretching while you're doing it, it could be reflexive.
You know, if you weren't around, my vocabulary would just blow.
We won't even get started on grammar.
Anyways, so I'm high from Gary's hug, but I'm also kind of going through my hometown and realizing what a monumental and momentous day this is. And I'm kind of like seeing the ghosts of my houses and realizing...
where you used to live.
Yeah, as a child and puberty and all that. And I got out by the skin of my chinny chin chin. I mean, I could have... There's a lot of people who go...
mixing metaphors.
That's right. I need an air traffic control.
Well, it's the same area.
Today. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people who are transgender don't live past... that. And there's high incidence of it, and so I got through it because of one kind of simple thing that I kind of held on to in the back of my head, and that's what I write about. I held on to a simple handrail as I scaled the mountain of this thing called identity, realizing God doesn't make mistakes. That means that all of God's creation is exactly as intended, even if it doesn't fit someone else's fantasy of reality. Because that's all it is, despite what anyone tells us. Nobody has the patent on reality. Any view, opinion, other than your own, is just someone else's vision of should. No matter what I tried, I was not a boy. No matter what my body told me, I was not a boy, never going to be one. After 52 years of watching and waiting, it only got harder, until my beautiful brain, my precious mind, was able to finally get its bearings and realize that the stupid games could be over. Life could be as wonderful as life is supposed to be. I now was beginning to understand what embracing acceptance really meant. Sure, at this point you'd think I wouldn't be fighting with something as basic as acceptance. But as you start to inspect every corner of the fortress you've built, there's a lot of nooks and crannies, and every single one of them needs to be scrubbed. Getting at the big pieces of identity is relatively easy once you start, but it requires a daily rewiring of your perception and your mental orienteering.
Well, strangely enough, the part that sticks out to me is the beginning, where you talk about God not making mistakes. And we don't have to get into a hugely religious flavored thing right now, except that I just have been finding it incongruent that it seems to be often trying to feed in a lot of disclaimers here in room. People who tend to talk about being very religious, very devoted to God, in the same breath will be so judgmental about other individuals, as if somehow, like you said, God doesn't make mistakes. I mean, wouldn't they have to admit that? If they really think that you're, quote unquote, we often hear the word an abomination, which I'm sorry to say, I hate that word, but that's saying God made a mistake, I think. And I don't know why people think it's any skin off their nose anyway, to stick with the hair on the teeth and the, you know what I mean? I mean, why is it such a big deal for so many people what other people do? I mean, we know some of it. If you don't have to look at yourself and you can look at somebody else and be judgmental about them, you've just raised yourself in your own mind a few levels, and you didn't have to do anything. You just pushed the other person down to make yourself look better. I think that might be part of it. But
Well, I think, without getting lost in the weeds on what is an argument that goes on all the time, and that in the trans community, it's one of the biggest things we have to fight down. But let's keep it on just the trans person. If you're trying to make sense of what people on the outside of you are telling you about what's going on the inside of you, for some reason, this is a place where people feel like they can invade. All these other places don't tell me what to do, don't tell me what to say, get the government out of my life. Except here we get to do it to you. Now, again, I'm steering away from getting lost in the weeds. What that means to a person trying to make sense of it, especially growing up, you have all these conflicting emotions. And I hear people say, like, oh, the hormones raging during puberty. Honey, you have no idea what that feels like. Because now take everything that anybody is feeling when they're saying that and throw them and smash them together. Conflicting male and female thoughts, conflicting male and female feelings and urgings are just like slamming together. And there's nobody to help us navigate those waters. And you can end up questioning yourself.
certainly back when you were going through it.
Yeah.
I think times are changing now, and people might not even relate to your saying that practically, but
I wish that were true, but we're for every family that we hear that's enlightened in the way that they're raising their children, we hear of another high school that's trying to misgender a child and not let them use the bathroom and ridicule them. There was a school that wanted to make them wear armbands. I know. It's like,
what does that remind you of?
Just because they're not allowed to talk about Nazis. I don't know what it is. But when you're trying to grow up, and the people that you're looking up to, and they're trying to get involved in just in life with everybody else, and you get these conflicting messages and you got nowhere to turn, you have to really develop an incredibly strong sense of self. That eventually, like my beautiful, precious mind was able to say, yeah, I know those sounded like conflicting thoughts. God doesn't make mistakes, and you need to change how you're living your life. And that was like, I didn't see how those two could come together until they did. And I was like, oh, it's because I'm fighting. I don't need to fight. Nobody else has to fight in life. So you don't either. I was like, oh, that took a long time to realize.
Well, and there is a through line in that in some ways it is totally different and a rare and different subject matter, the whole transgender world. It's quite a world. And, it's not the only place we see this tendency of people to, we've been calling it othering, where...
Thank you, Janet Mock.
Someone has anybody who's different, and we talked about this the other day, I would like to really make the point here that normal just means middle of the road, baby. And so
I thought it was the National Organization for Marijuana Reform Laws.
Whatever.
Sorry. But you're right. You're right.
So normal, people think of normal as a word that means right.
Yes.
If you're normal, everything's right with the world.
Right.
Normal just means the middle. Maybe the numbers sort of pile in there. But on the other hand, the more that we're doing studies, the more that people are talking about their experiences in life, the more that we aren't putting people away who have mental or physical differences or disabilities, and they're more incorporated into the world again, the less there is a norm.
Yeah.
The normal thing is to be abnormal. Salutations to Gene Wilder, who passed this week. But yeah,
why is it? I mean, I'd love to hear from some of you guys out there. Why is it that transgender is a threat to someone? Why is it a threat?
Well, we kind of joked about it today, but maybe it's not such a I think they're jealous. You have the best of both worlds. Aha.
Yeah, we have superpowers.
Well, okay. Boy, I've talked about wildlife rehabbing in the past. I'm sorry, I don't mean to compare being transgender to being a possum. But it's that same thread in a human being that is afraid of what we don't understand or what we believe. Like, there's so many misconceptions about possums, which are all the reasons why people abuse them and kill them and mistreat them and have no idea what they really are. But they're afraid of them, or spiders and snakes, or the things we don't understand.
Okay, but so you floated this one out before, and it made a lot of sense then. But
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because we're people, and people.
Well, it's the same, but it's the same tendency. Someone looks at you and thinks, "I don't get it.
Therefore, it must die."
Yeah.
But who thinks that they get that power? That's the one I don't get.
People do.
Where's that arrogance that you suddenly get to be the arbiter, whoever the you is? It's weird.
I don't know. I would venture to say that there's a direct proportion for the stronger the judgment and dislike, the stronger the lack of confidence in that person.
Okay. The less they're able to vote.
No, unfortunately, they vote.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like we're having, that person's. It's like tolerating your drunk uncle,
Well, okay, but let's let's bring this around a bit, because I still think if you look at all those reasons, a lot of it is that the opinions, the judgments, come from lack of knowledge. So if we can do what we can to help people learn and grow and understand, knowledge is power. And so if we do whatever we can and ask for other people's help, like you guys, to help spread that word and help stand up for some of these things, then it's going to spread. And
well, that's what we're doing here.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So
there you go.
So there you go.
Okay. Well, we have lots.
Put that in your hair on your teeth and smell it.
Wow. Nice.
I'm just going back
I'm
to
not
the
sure if you stuck the landing on that one,
Hair.
but it's gives us pause. And
and
I knew they looked good. So we have some engagements coming up. We'll be speaking at Cal State Channel Islands here in
Yes.
September.
And we have a store link on our website where you can. We in last week's vlog we modeled a couple of the T-shirts, the T-shirt and the Razorback. But Razorback. What? Say Razorback.
I don't know.
But we've got T-shirts and tank tops and beautiful,
And new stuff coming all the time as we figure out how to make it.
Focky mugs and
Focky
stuff.
mugs.
So yeah, check it out, and we'd love to have you browse the store and find yourself something that you would like to radiate light, laughter, and love.
Light, laughter, and love.
Light, laughter, and love.
See you next week.
Yeah, take care.